Hey there! In today's recipe, we're going to cover how to measure Shopify A/B test done via Shoplift when you have Littledata installed, practically all your conversion data being sent to GA4. We're going to use GA4 segments, and I'm going to show you how to create them based off of Shoplift events and the parameters they send into GA4 to identify two groups of people, one of them who received the test, hypothesis, and the control group. Let's get into GA4 user interface, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First off, you're going to have to open standard reports. Just go to events section that live in the engagement subtopic of your lifecycle collection. Go to events and find experience impression. If you click on it, GA4 will open a dedicated dashboard that shows all kinds of stuff, but we're interested in finding a parameter called exp variant string, because that's how GA4 receives data about the very test that's happening. So experience impression, the event that we clicked on, is just like a general carrier of the information into GA4 when you have Shoplift A/B tests working, but exp underscore variant underscore string is something that carries specific data about that very test. So right now we're looking at proprietary data here, and we cannot show you the real names of these parameters, but we know how to create them. And if you don't see this parameter in this dropdown, it's most likely that you haven't registered it. Now, a super quick crash course on GA4 events and parameters. Events are sent in GA4 in many, many ways, and they carry additional pieces of information called parameters. But in order to be able to see a parameter in GA4, you need to register it, and that's happening in the admin panel. And then you should go to custom definitions and then custom dimensions. Create custom dimension, and if you haven't registered exp underscore variant underscore string in your GA4, you will see it in this dropdown here. Obviously, this brand already registered, so it's not available for registration because it's already there. But in your case, you will know what to do. You either see it in this list here, as we see it here, or it's available in the dropdown in new custom dimensions. So practically, since we already have it, just like any good recipe, we have a cooking show, we have prepared stuff up front. So here is what you're going to need to surface the Shoplift A/B test data in GA4. Practically, you will create two segments. It will be session segments. So this is how you'll go about it. Create a new one, create a new segment, session segment, and then here you need to find exp variant string, and you can say contains, and then put whatever the name of the parameter with your control group or the test group. Obviously, we're not gonna do it here because I already prepared them for you. So we have practically these two segments, sessions with the test and those with control. Now, this test ran during May 2025, and I'm going to quickly double check if my session segments are working properly by creating a segment overlap. If I add these two groups of visitors, they shouldn't overlap. They might happen to overlap in a very, very tiny amount. Now, I don't know why my GA4 broke here, but it's happening from time to time. Let's refresh it, and we'll see if there is a significant portion of sessions that do have both control and the test variant. With this one here, it's like 0.15% or something like that, which would be expected, to have both of the test and control experience parameter value. So they're properly separated, and then from that point on, we're going to move on and we're going to say, let's create a freeform. We want these two segments to be applied. and we're gonna put in sessions and purchases. Now, since GA4 is putting segments as column names here, column group names, we're seeing it like this. So it's telling us some kind of a story. The quantity of sessions is similar, quantity of purchases is kind of there, but we are not sure until we apply some statistical analysis, which we're going to do through Gemini, because I do know a little bit about statistical significance, but this is the easier way, so let's go that way. So here is the prompt that we put in the Gemini. We ran an A/B test on our e-commerce store, and here are the results. Test hypothesis group had 215,414 sessions, whereas you see the number of purchases, and the control group had that many sessions and purchases. Is this a statistically significant difference, i.e. did the test succeed, and should we implement the tested change? Now you let it explain, and you can use various AI tools such as ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you prefer, but it will give you some kind of a result. This time it says that the test has succeeded and you should implement the tested change on your e-commerce store. Maybe you can ask him, okay, now give me a more detailed explanation. But it's up to your preference how deep you want to go with the granularity of understanding, or you just want to ask artificial intelligence whether your test was successful and should you go with the tested change, or you should keep the status quo. Now let's go deeper into these results. I'm going to add a few metrics to understand better these two groups of people. So I'm going to put in average revenue per user and per paying user. I'm also going to put AOV, which in GA4 terminology is called average purchase revenue. I don't know why they keep reinventing the hot water every time, but that's how GA4 deals with the e-commerce metrics. Now here is a little trick. If you're comparing two segments and you keep getting annoyed with the horizontal scroll because there is not enough real estate here, but there's plenty of white space here, you should pivot this table around first row, and it will show the segments as if they were dimensions. So we are seeing right now, let's kind of get rid of this one. We are comparing, okay, these two groups of people, they actually purchased kind of similar average order value. They are equally valuable when it comes to paying user, but when it comes to a user, regardless of the fact whether they purchased or not, the test actually brought in about 10% better value when it comes to this individual user. Now, you can also create an item-based report here. Now, only beware that item-based metrics cannot be mixed with all the metrics as you please. So in this case, we wouldn't be able to add them to this table, but if we use them here, add item viewed, and then items added, bought to scene, I don't know what happened. Okay, items added to cart, and then items purchased. I'm just gonna slightly reorder them here so we have a nice looking table, and then double click on segments. Again, pivot around first row for better visibility. We are going to see how each one of these two groups of people performed when it comes to adding to cart, purchasing, and actually the percent of people who saw an item versus how many people bought it. You can also play with engagement metrics such as, I don't know, let's see if there are some of them already brought in here. If not, adding metrics is super easy here. You just start typing engaged sessions, engagement rate, user engagement. Let's see what happens when we add these metrics, engaged sessions, rate, and user engagement is just added they kept adding individual user engagement, so it's not some kind of unnaturally, number that is kind of easy to comprehend, but that's why we're seeing years. And if we add these two groups of people and then pivot around first row for better visibility, we'll see that actually test had less engaged sessions and the engagement rate was lower. But yeah, the user engagement, when it comes to the overall user engagement combined with all the users who saw test variant of whatever this brand was testing, they performed better. They stayed longer on website. Not a significant difference, but still there. Again, you can go back to Gemini and put in these metrics as well in the overall calculation and see what happened. Let's just put gross purchase revenue here to see if it's, vastly different or it's just the same. But I would say it's you can tell, yeah, test brought in more than or almost 10%, just like we saw the average revenue per user. 10% more revenue was brought in by the test variant, even though it had slightly less volume of sessions. I hope you like this recipe and that it will help you with analyzing your Shoplift A/B tests, but also A/B tests in general, and that you're aware now how important it is to have Littledata tracking 100% of your conversion data. See you in the next recipe. Bye.